Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to talk the pity and banner system in Persona 5X, show you some details around it. If you are a veteran of the gacha gaming space, this is all going to feel very familiar to you, but at least this way you understand the rates and maybe some recommendations on where you should spend your gems. And if you're brand new to gacha, maybe you're coming here from just a love of Persona in general, this is going to be the system that gives you your characters and their top-end weapons. So very, very important. It's something you're going to want to pay a lot of attention to. So as we get started, a like and a sub would help me out greatly. And let's dive in. So up here on this little card thing at the top of my screen, this is the, banner selection, if you will. And right now I'm in the KR servers, so I've got probably different banners, I'd imagine, than what Global will launch with. But the same, concept, the same ideas will apply. The only asterisk I'll put here is the current pull system was revised some months ago. On launch for the other servers, it didn't have all the same features like these dual banners that I'm going to show you here in a second. So there is a chance that they could go back to the old way. I would really hope not, because frankly what they have now is just way better. But a little asterisk, it could happen. I suspect they'll use the new system, but we'll see. We'll see at launch. But let's go with the assumption they're going with this one, and let's talk about it. So first off, there's a couple things to note here. Up top, you're going to see on the far right the kind of card, and I think they call these fates, and maybe the names will change once we get to global. But you have different kinds of fates and different kinds of tokens for the different kinds of banners. So if I go through it briefly, you've got destinies is what they call it, at least on the translation here, and they're these kind of rainbow cards. If I go down to the standard banner, you're going to notice they look different, and these are future destinies. The big thing is the bottom banner here is the standard banner. This is where all of your standard characters reside. After they, come out initially, they'll end up in this banner. So the good news is if you don't want to spend the more rare regular Destiny cards, you'll eventually have a chance to pull them here, unless they're just a limited character. Your limited characters, which is what this top banner is, this is your more rainbow colored Destiny. So think of it as more limited, what you really probably want to plan around, versus your traditional kind of standard banner. You'll get a lot more of these future destinies, these contracts, throughout the game in different game modes than you will get on the other kind. Now for both of them, outside of just getting them from events, or you get quite a few of these, for example, in palaces, you can use your gems here, or I guess they call it Metaverse Amber. I always call these things gems in every single game. You can use these to buy them, and it's 150 gems or amber, whatever, to get one pull, basically. And the thing with pulls that you're going to want to know, besides the rates here in a second, is you're going to want to do 10 pulls, unless you're just like right at the top of a pity and maybe one or two will get you there. You're going to do 10 pulls because you're guaranteed a 4-star when you do a 10 pull. So you don't want to kind of jump in here and spend, 1, 2, 3, whatever. Wait till you get 10 on either of these banners. That way you're guaranteeing yourself at least that one rarity. You may not pull the 5-star, of course, right? That's the whole thing with these banners, but you'll get that 4-star character. So then let's talk about why are there two different icons here. On your limited banners, and this also happens, with special banners and things like that. On your limited banners, there's two ways that you can pull for a character. And this is that newer system I was talking about just a bit ago. And it's debatable, which one is the best one. I think it can be kind of situational, but let me tell you about each. So the first one is the guaranteed you're gonna get the character. So it's this little targeted thing over here, and you're gonna see down here that it says 100%. Well, the pity on this, the hard pity, is 110 pulls. If you go through the entire banner and you pull 110 times, you're gonna get the character. That's your hard pity. There is a soft pity starting at 70, which just, slightly bumps up the rates. But ultimately, if you get to 110, you get the character. There's no 50-50 on this banner. You're guaranteed to get it when you get there. The other kind of neat benefit, if you will, is if you look on the left here, there's this 120 out of 165. So what that's saying is when I get to 165 cumulative pulls, I'm going to get one of these other 5-stars. Now it's random. I don't get to, choose from a selector or anything like that, but it's almost like a mini consolation prize for throwing a lot of resources at this banner. And the banner does carry over. So I have, not pulled 120 times on this banner. I did, I think, go to pity on this one to get him, unfortunately. But when I get to the next set of banners that come out for the limited characters, I'll still have these 4 that I've already pulled. and I'll have this 120. So, as I go up and up and up, I'll eventually get another free character. The actual rates on this, as you're pulling, are 0.2% to get that 5-star. So it's a smaller percent chance versus what I'm going to show you on the other banner. But again, at 110, you're guaranteed to get the character. The other way to do this is this 50-50 banner. So the 50-50, the big difference here is you're going to see that it's only 80. So when you get to 80 pulls, you've hit your hard pity, and then it's going to 50-50 whether or not you get this character or you get a different 5-star character. So you're not guaranteed to get the featured banner unit. Now, if you get to that 80, you do the 50-50 and you fail, you get somebody else. Then when you do it again, the next 5-star you pull will be this character. So this one is a little tricky because you're spending less gems overall, but you're not guaranteed to get it at the 80 point. The other thing to note is the pull rate is a little bit better. It's 0.8%. So neither one of them is like, 5% or anything crazy like that. But you do have a slightly better rate here, but it's 50-50 when you hit a 5-star. Now, if you hit a 5-star at 40 pulls, same thing as 50-50. It's whenever you hit that 5-star, 50-50 chance to get the banner unit. If you don't get it, the next time you get a 5-star, you do get it. So a little bit more of a gamble, if you will. Now, the way that I would say to kind of choose your strategy is, if you look at your resources and you have, limited resources and maybe, there's not a lot of events coming up and you can't save hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pulls, you might want to come in here and guarantee yourself the character. I believe the math itself works out slightly more favorable if you're doing the 50-50, but if you look back, I think it was my Valentine's Day pull video, I have absolutely been burned on several occasions of losing my 50-50 on these banners here. And so maybe there's a little bit of bias in there with me. But I think that if you're just pulling for one copy of the character, and that's a big thing, if you're going for one character, you want to guarantee that you're going to get it, I would personally go for the guaranteed banner at the 110. Yeah, it does sting when you go to the 110, but I'll tell you from personal experience what stings more is when I get to the 80, fail the 50-50, get all the way back up to 160 now because I have to get all the way up there again and just have the bad luck and end up basically double pitying this banner. Is that going to happen to you all the time? No, of course not. The math doesn't work that way. But it can happen, and it absolutely has happened to me. So, in my opinion, if I really want the character, especially if I'm on limited resources, I'm going to pull here. If I'm feeling a little bit lucky, I might pull over here. Or, if you're wailing out and you're going for the full duplicates, so you're looking for, we call it A6, so it's their 6th Ascension. If you want all the duplicates for a character, somebody at some point, I wish I knew who so I could give them credit, but somebody did the math on Discord at one point in time, months ago, and the math favored doing only this banner if you want all 6 copies of the character. So if you are a whale, this might be your go-to. If you're not a whale, you're not going for A6ing a character, then I still think this is the better one. So that's the limited character banners. So that's it for like your typical limited banner. The other thing you're going to see from time to time is they'll have banners that allow you to pick from more than one character. So we've seen this a few times. It's really nice because if you need to or want to pass on a character, chances are a couple months later, you're going to get them in an optional banner. And so it's the same kind of rates, same system, nothing changes there. But what you're going to notice here now is I've got these 3 little selection items. And so what I can do is pick between certain characters. So in this case, I've got a lot of these characters, but maybe I come in here and say, maybe I want her, maybe I want this person, which I totally would, honestly. And then maybe I want, I don't know who, let's do Summer Closer, because I know I don't have her. And so now you're going to see one of them has up, and I can change, which one has the up. And now it's basically a targeted limited, if you will. And so same thing when I get to a pity, whoever I have as the up, if I'm on this one here, I will absolutely get. If I'm on the other banner, it's 50-50. Now the thing to know is the 50-50 does not guarantee you one of these other 2. It's still that open pool. I might get somebody else entirely. And so on this one, it's kind of like a catch-up system where if you missed characters that you really wanted, On occasion, special events and things, they'll sometimes do these. Really cool. I actually caught up my account quite a bit on KR through a banner of this style earlier, some odd months ago. So really fun one, a good one to look out for. But this one isn't every single content cycle. It's kind of just an on occasion special thing. And that's it for the banners, as far as limited and kind of these special ones. So the other one is the standard, and this one is very similar to the other banners we talked about. The rates on this one, if I scroll down in here, let's see, they are 0.8% as well. And this one also has the pity at 80. And then if you, do your 10 pulls, you're guaranteed a 4-star. The other thing that's kind of neat here with this banner is the first time you start pulling on it, you'll have a counter. And when you get to 300 pulls, you get to select a specific 5-star. At least when I did it, it was Ryuji on Morgana, Rin, who's cursed, not the newer Rin, and Riddle, who's a support type unit. So by getting to 300 pulls, on top of whatever you've pulled along the way, you get a selector of sorts, which actually brings us to another selector you're going to see as a beginner. Again, assuming they do this, which I can't imagine why they wouldn't, is the beginner select banner. I'll put a picture up on the screen here from some old footage I saved. But on the initial kind of beginner character select banner, you have to pull 50 times, but it's 8 cards per pull instead of 10, so it's like a discounted rate. And when you finish the 50, you get to pick between Skull, On, and Morgana. And so, a cool kind of strategy if you wanted to is you could take one of those characters from the beginner selector, and then when you get to the 300 on the standard, pick the other one. I'm actually, for my account, debating how I want to do it. I think I may very well pick On from my beginner selector, assuming I don't pull her before then, and then pick Morgana from the 300, or possibly Rin if she's in there, because she actually goes really well with Joker. We'll decide more when we see the banners when they come out, but it's a cool way that you can get more than one character, if you wanted to. So that's it for character banners. So again, limited, I personally think you go for the targeted one if you really want that character, unless you're whaling out and you're trying to get the 6 duplicates, in which case this one, as I said, someone cool on Discord, I don't know who it was, did the math and figured out that it was a mathematically better situation to go through this here. Occasionally you'll get these special catch-up ones, so if you miss a few cycles or want to skip a few, not a big deal, they'll eventually come back. And then your standard is your, I wouldn't blow currency on it, but as you store these up, come in here and do your 10 pulls. Weapons are really straightforward if I come in here. So you always have your targeted weapon. So in this case, it's Makoto. So his sword, I actually just pulled this the other day, finally got enough for it. And on this one, you can set what other weapons you want to get, but they're from the 5-star standard. So I can't put, other limited characters in here. And so I can come in here and say, oh, you know what, I don't have his, and I can set his down, or actually I have to uncheck the other one, sorry. Maybe I want to pull hers, whatever. And so what that does is, as I'm pulling for weapons, this one works off of 50-50 as well. If I fail the 50-50, I'll get one of these other ones. So I've actually gotten quite a few of my 5 stars because I've failed so many 50-50s on this weapon banner. And as far as rates for this one here, let's scroll down here, also has the 0.8. I just saw it, so I must have passed. There it goes. It's the 0.8 as well. And then this one has a 70 cap as far as your hard pity. And this one also uses a different token, so it's like a special weapon token. And instead of it costing 150 of the ambers to get a token, it's only 100. So overall, the banners for weapons cost less, and the amount to get to pity costs, less than pulling a character. But if you're looking to do a full collection of character and weapon, you're going to have to plan, around that and make sure that you have enough currency. I know that's not uncommon in gacha games. Plenty of other ones do that. I personally hate when it's the characters and the weapons, but it is what it is. It's how the game works. And so it's something you're just going to have to adjust into, unfortunately. But I would say that not every character needs their 5-star, and there's ways to get 4-star weapons through tokens and other means. And so you don't necessarily have to go crazy on every character and every weapon. And as characters come out, every guide out there is going to tell you what the 2 different weapons do. When I write guides, I'll tell you, which ones are really, really important to get and which ones are not. But of course, I'd be lying if I said that there's not a difference and a power spike for having it. Great example would be, you know, my Violet. Let's see if I still have her 4-star, and I can just show you the kind of difference to expect. And so if I pop in here, yeah, you'll see the 2 weapons. So if I look at the 4-star, this is, you know, at base value, I don't go for duplicates. Attack power, 12%. And if I have 2 or more stacks of dance, which is like a special buff for her, 24%. Not bad, a little bit of a bump, right? Now, if I look at her 5-star, critical effects 36.3 whenever you gain dance, increase offense by 21%. Sorry, some of these translations aren't perfect, but they're good. When an allied uses highlight or theurgy, acquires a stack of resuscitation, and damage he gives in 3 turns is an 8% increase. 2 overlapping, I think it means it stacks twice. When you get 2 stacks, your highlight damage goes up by 30. Basically what this is saying is you get a crap ton of crit damage, and your highlight damage hits more, and her whole kit revolves around her highlight damage critting. This is when you see her do 1,000,000 damage on an attack. This is part of what enables that. So can you get by with a 4-star? Yeah, I only recently pulled her 5-star. She was clearing content for me with her 4-star weapon because I just didn't pull it when she first came out. Got the 5-star, did I notice a difference? Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to pulling, do plan on weapons if you really want that character to be just that absolute, you know, max potential, or if it's a favorite. I will definitely pull weapons on favorites. That's kind of how I like to play. And I'll pull, you know, the weapons on some key characters. Like when she comes back out, I'm absolutely going to pull her weapon. She's just too amazing in my opinion. Joker, on the other hand, you know, with him, I'm going to pull his weapon because, again, he's a personal favorite of mine. I've actually got his amiibo sitting right here on my desk, if you can see it there. But his weapon is far less impactful, and I don't have his 4-star anymore, but his weapon is far less impactful in comparison to what I just showed you. So you don't have to get them all. If you're strapped on resources, I would tell you focus on getting the character, and then you can always come back when they do a rerun and get the weapon later if that's what you want to do. So there you have it. That's the banner/pity system. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you mind the whole, you know, weapon/character situation they have going on? I know it's fairly common to a lot of different gacha games, so veterans probably aren't that shocked by it. And what do you think about the whole 2 different ways to pull, the 50/50 versus the more expensive guarantee? I personally like it, especially after being burned on so many 50/50s in this game and others. So I'm going to basically exclusively pull on the guarantee, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll do some fun streams and get crazy with the 50/50 banner sometimes. But that's it. If you liked the video, would love it if you drop me a like and a subscribe. And again, throw in the comments if there's stuff that you want me to cover for this game before release. And as release comes out, I'll cover some of the changes and see what we launch with and give you, more guides and paths forward on how to progress through the game and all the different fun things that come with it. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.